push it off. G'day guys, welcome to Streaker Marine. Today we have a Quintrex 500 Fishabout. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take you through some of the things that we like to explain to our customers on the day of pickup, just so it gives you a bit of a head start. So when you get here on the day of pickup, you might know a few of these things that you've been wondering about on the way. First thing we want to start off with is the trailer. Connecting the actual trailer to the car, we have a coupling, which is this guy here, and this can actually spin left and right a little bit. So what we have is a jockey wheel which will adjust the height of the trailer at the front here to suit your car. Single axle trailers are really easy. You can slide single axle trailers left and right as you need to, and you can push them backwards and forwards a little bit as well. It depends on what kind of surface you're actually on and how big the boat is, but a lot of these trailers are quite well built and they're quite easy to move. So we'll get it just in front of our tow ball here, wind our jockey wheel down. Now when we get to this point here, it's very important that we have this part here open. We have a little bracket. This is a locked position and this is an open position. It needs to be open when we want to put the trailer onto the car or remove it from the car. So we're on top of the jockey wheel, on top of the coupling, wind the jockey wheel down. I like to wind it down until I can see the jockey wheel start to loosen off the ground. I put my foot next to the jockey wheel just to hold it in position, wind it up, and once it gets to a point where it's just about all the way around, there's a lever. We'll lift this over and lock the jockey wheel over. Once we've done that, this is the part where it's very important that we close the coupling on top of the tow ball. So we've our jockey wheel's tucked away, our coupling's locked on. You'll either have a round or a flat plug for your lights. It's important that we might know that before the day of pickup, so then it's a nice and easy process, straight in, and you'll either have one or two safety chains, which will also connect to the car. Now, any trailer over what they call 750 kilos in total weight will have brakes on the trailer as well. We can turn the brakes on or off with this lever here. So when this is open, like it is now, what happens is as the car slows down, the trailer will still have a little bit of momentum. It'll plunge into this area here, which will activate the brakes on the trailer. So as we're going along, we're stopping at the lights. This will plunge forward just the tiniest bit, which turns the brakes on the trailer to help the trailer slow down as well as the car. If we were reversing up a steep driveway or reversing up a hill, and this was plunging in, preventing us from reversing backwards, we easily flick that back over, and that will prevent the brakes from actually being used. But it is important when we're towing down the highway and transporting the boat to have this open, so we have the help from the trailer brakes as well as our car brakes. We also have a handbrake. So when the trailer is disconnected from the car and we're pushing the trailer into the garage or whatever we're doing, if we wanted to stop the trailer, we just simply lift this up like this, and that'll activate the brakes manually. If you wanted the brakes to stay on, you can do that, and that'll keep the brakes on the actual on the trailer. If you were going to park the trailer on the side of a hill, I wouldn't solely rely on the brakes. I'd still like you to put a chock behind the wheel. Now, it is important that we don't have the friction of this with the brakes while we're traveling down the highway. So what I like to do is remove this handle, flick this all the way over, and put this back down, which means it can't get locked on. If we need to use the brakes when we've got the car disconnected, back over, and then we can utilize the handbrake. Coupling's locked, our lights are in, our safety chain's on, our brakes, our handbrake can't turn on, our brakes are on, and our jockey wheel's flicked over. We have a winch at the front of the trailer, and there's 3 points of connection to the boat and the trailer when we're in transit. One is our winch at the front here, and we have 2 tie downs at the back of the trailer, which connects the boat to the trailer for transit. When we actually get down to the ramp, this will be our last point of call, the last thing that we'll undo to release the boat from the trailer. So when we get down to the ramp, our tie downs will be off, our drain plug will be in, we'll reverse the boat back to the required depth that we'll show you, and the last contact to the trailer will be this winch here. It's typically a single speed winch, there's only one gear, and one good tip is when you release the sprocket on this one here, if you can wind the handle, it's not making a noise, That means it's not locking in and it's in a free spool mode. If you flick this back over, every time you roll it over, it clicks. Every time it clicks, it locks. So when we're in transit, we just want to make sure that's nice and tight and connected to the trailer. What we'll do now is walk over to the back of the boat. So we've spoken about the winch at the front. We also have two tie downs, one either side. So the first tie down's just here. If you haven't used tie downs before, what they have is a little lever here. You have to lift that lever up to release them. So you lift it up and you hold it back till they click. You'll have a connection point on the boat and a connection point on the trailer. So with your tie downs and your drain plug, I like to always use them together. I never do one or the other. You always have to do both. And what I mean by that is when you get down to the ramp, you'll take off both your tie downs and put your drain plug into the bung hole here. When you want to go home, you'll take the drain plug back out and put your tie downs on. So you never do one or the other, you always have to do both. If you're boating with people regularly, the same people regularly, it's nice to have your own jobs so you're not relying on each other. So there'll be one person that puts a drain plug in and takes the tie downs off, and another person will have another job. Just so when you go down, you know what you need to do and you can make sure that we're all under control and we haven't missed anything. To put the tie downs back on, connection on the trailer. Then I like to pull as much slack out of the tie downs as possible, lift that little lever up and wind up the last bit till they're tight. Like so. And the excess rope we'll put through here and wind across. Done. The drain plug we'll grab in a moment. So at Streaker Marine, you're going to have what we call a red bag, and that's going to have your drain plugs, your engine flushes, your owner's manuals, and everything's going to be inside that. Your drain plug simply goes in here. The reason why, and it's threaded in. The reason why we have a drain plug is so we can get water out of the boat when it's in there. So if you wash the boat down as an example and you've got some water inside the boat, the easiest way is to undo the drain plug and that will get the water out. It's important to leave the drain plug out of the boat when we're not in use, so fresh air can circulate through the hull, especially when we have like a full cover over the boat when it's in storage, and it can let everything sort of dry out and breathe a little bit. So it is important to remove the drain plug, but it's obviously a lot more important to make sure it's in before we go boating. This is our transducer. Our transducer is what our fish finder relies on to find the bottom and find the fish. It's important that the transducer is in the correct position when we're going to use it so we get the best results possible. What we want is it to be slipstream with the hull. So what that means is I don't want it to be knocked up or down, because what happens is the transducer sends down a pulse, and if that pulse is directly facing the seabed, it's going to get direct access up and down. If you were parked on the beach, let's say, and you knock the transducer up a little bit, you will notice that your transducer will probably be giving you an incorrect depth because it's going to be pulsing away from the boat. You just want to make sure it's in the correct position like so.